Thank you, Franz, for joining me today. My name is Cameron Ackbury, and I'm going to be moderator of this discussion. The purpose of this discussion is to help our viewers and our prospective customers understand how Everest ERP is a true ERP application built for the modern era. Let's start with introductions. We've talked about this before, but you are an expert in the industry. So let's start with your background and how you came up with Everest Systems.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Cameron, for having me first. It's nice to talk again. Yeah, my background is mainly SAP. I was more than 26 years in SAP in different roles, more on the platform side than HANA. Database development, learned there how applications really work on the lower level with a database, and then on data management, also then understanding the data flow of big companies and building the application there. Yeah, and then I left SAP at some point in time where I thought 26 years is then more than enough. And then I had a chance to get in contact with our investors, Sutter Hill, and then Sandeep. Convinced then also our third co-founder, Joachim, to join our team, and then we had the opportunity to build a new system from scratch. And if you are 26 years in an ERP company, where you always think of what could be done better or what you like and what you dislike, and have then the opportunity to build the same big system, which is most probably the biggest software system in the world, from scratch, you cannot say no, right? It's just, then the fire is burning, and that's what's happening. And then we started 5.5 years ago with this journey, yeah, and now we are here.
Yes, you've started a great company here, so thank you. So, on the idea here that Everest is a true ERP, that's what we want to talk about today. What makes Everest a true ERP and not just a financial systems or a point solution with AI features?
You have to look at how such a business system is built of and what you want to achieve, right? And it's clear from the core, you always need an accounting, and that's what you know when you build such a system. You want to be the system of records, otherwise you are not an ERP. So it does not mean being finance or not finance, but what you want to achieve with an ERP, you want to build the end-to-end business processes, not just a single functionality for one thing. And that means a lot in the sense of what you have to build around that. You
Mhm.
have to look at what functionalities do you need, what applications you need, how you have to integrate that, how you deliver it out of the box, how you do the lifecycle management, and all these kind of things. So I'm always saying it's not just application functionality. A big piece of ERP as what you want to achieve is the integration, the end-to-end flows, which you want to guarantee and want to give to your customers.
Okay, great. Thank you. How was Everest designed differently by being an AI native from day one? And why does that matter to enterprise finance leaders?
First of all, the question is, what is the difference between AI native and non-AI native, right?
That's
And
correct.
that's the point, right? What many systems are doing is you have a complete systems, and now you want to bring AI on top of that, right? Then you can
Hmm.
do some process automation, you can do some things, some UI things. You can do a lot of things, and a lot of systems also show that. AI native means that your whole processing of your whole system is based on AI, right? Be it workflow, be it execution, be it how you do extensions, be it how you build applications. So you can rethink so many things which
Yeah.
are otherwise so complicated, like configuration, like extensibility, like lifecycle management. You can do from scratch differently because you have your engine and all the capabilities in the platform. That makes it so different. It's not just on top of doing some sugar on top of that. That's the difference.
Somebody once said, maybe it was Sandeep said that when it's like building a house and you could build a house with central air conditioning, or you can buy a house and put an air conditioning unit in it. So one is a bolt on that only serves one room, whereas the other air conditioning, central air conditioning, can serve the whole house.
Absolutely, and that gives you also the potential what you can do, right? If you have just one cool room, yeah, maybe your possibilities of really living in that house is a little bit more limited if the whole house is cool, right? And we see it currently in Germany. It's the hottest day of the year. there you know the difference, right?
Yes, exactly. So, what core business functions does Everest unify under one system, and how does this reduce silos or manual work for the office of the CFO?
Yeah, from the functionality, looking at the broad application features, of course, we are doing the quote to cash, the business process, the record to report, the P2P, procure to pay, and more on the financial side. We have a very strong HR module where we can do most of the HR functionality. We have asset management. Um, we have cost management, cloud costing, but also now central cost management. We are jumping into professional service automation and also into inventory management now. So I just give you an example, right? If you want to have approval processes and processes, for example, if you bring expenses into the system and so on, of course it makes sense you have your HR data in the system. Otherwise, who could approve your data? Right? Of course, you can copy it from another HR system, but then the question is, how synchronized are the data? How actual are the data? What is happening if you have a reorganization? How fast do you bring that in, and which effort do you have to do? What
Yeah.
happens if the system is not consistent? All these things are coming out of the box, guaranteed from an integrated system. This is working per definition, not per integration, and there's no way of that it cannot work because it's designed in a way that these integrated processes are.
And it feels like you're also pushing the boundaries of what ERP can do. For instance, cloud computing, managing cloud computing cost. That also is an important aspect for subscription-based businesses.
Yeah, and exactly. When you look currently at subscription-based software companies, right? What is the main cost that remains is people
Hmm.
cost. That was for a long time. But then, if you look at the second one, right? It's not travel and expenses anymore. This is neglectable in the sense it is cloud cost and more AI cost, which you
Yeah.
have to be careful. And to be honest, the financial management of these costs is very poor in many companies, right? And therefore, bringing that into the standard way of managing cost is super important. We do so much effort on managing our travel costs, right?
Hmm.
Which is just ridiculous in comparison to the other costs, and we don't do the same planning, controlling, financial impact analysis on the cloud cost and the AI cost. That is kind of ridiculous, right? We have to do that. That's a new word.
And I almost feel bad for those new small point solutions managing client costs because they're not going to succeed against a company like Everest. Um, why can't legacy cloud ERPs adapt fast enough to today's subscription, usage-based, and multi-entity business models?
You know the point. If you have designed your systems in business models from years ago, 20 years ago, maybe in the manufacturing world, maybe in the old world, then your decisions did there in the architecture were different, right? You didn't make your contracts time based. You didn't make all your processes time based, all your data structures time based. Of course, software, you always can change and adapt and doing something on top, but that's not the natural way of doing things. So it takes longer because you have to create complex models, complex processes in order to achieve the same. And then at some point in time, you can do it, but if you want to change it, then you run into this problem. And then you don't have this flexibility of a natural system, which is just saying, this is my standard. This is how I work, how I live, how I think. And then, of course, your changes are much easier and faster.
What I've also noticed with the customers that I'm working with is the ability to adapt to the market needs so quickly with Everest Systems compared to legacy cloud-based ERPs.
Absolutely.
How does Everest eliminate the traditional trade-off between customization and speed of implementation?
The point is what is absolutely needed in order to adapt your system to the different industries and how do you tackle it. First of all, when you look at the SaaS industry, we are made for SaaS and we will be made for other industry. Therefore, we know how this works. This is our standard, and therefore there is no need to now define everything from scratch again. We have it. The second one is, of course, also with AI, configurations and adoptions are so much easier in different ways. Either you can generate your applications, you can generate also your adoptions. That makes it so much simpler, because the old way of doing configuration, going through big menus and big processes, that's not necessary in these days anymore. You do it completely different.
Yeah, that's right. Sandeep actually brought up the fact that, our product is so well built to manage accounting processes that even if we want to configure a different business process, like I mentioned earlier, it becomes so much easier. In what ways is Everest helping CFOs shift from backward-looking reporting to real-time, forward-looking decision making?
This is mainly, that's the question of how you're building your reporting and your processes and your insights into the data. Can you do that by standard reports, by building that in timely processes? Do you have really access to real time data all the day, all the time? And of course, AI is helping you in such a uncredible way to have access to the data in all dimensions, in all ways, wherever you want to see that. And it's not just doing the insights there, right? It can also help to trigger you to do actions on top of that. Of course, you have to have control over consistent, correct data, and that's what you have to build in your accounting system, in your system of records, right? But the processes on top of that, they all can be generated and dynamically created by every user, and that gives you so much flexibility.
I'm going to deviate a little bit. I want to talk about our AI agent, Eve. The name is
Mhm.
Eve. What excites you about Eve, our AI agent?
The first thing is this gives now extensibility into the hand of business users, right? And normally, when you look at standard ERP systems, how hard is it to build an extension there? How
Yeah.
difficult it is? How much learnings do you have to do? And it is just, and how much uncertainty is there if it's really working? And are you allowed to bring it into your business system? And what problems can occur and whatever? And there is our technology in the combination of sandboxing and AI. You can develop as a business user. You can develop these extensions just with natural language. You can test them with your productive data in your production system with a sandbox. Then you go through a review process with this process with your domain users, not with the developer. And you don't even have to ask an IT guy or a consultant or whatever. You can do it by your own. So that makes it so much easier and so much user friendly and so much stable, because you can test it on the real data.
Yeah, that's that. And to your point, I got to ask a follow-on question. What role does automation play in Everest, and what are example processes that are fully automated end to end?
There are many processes which are automated end to end, especially, of course, the revenue recognition process, very sophisticated process, which is there. And otherwise, we can do a lot of automation also by building our custom eaves, as you imagined. And we have, AI is helping you to automate on every side. But I think revenue recognition is maybe the most famous example. Also quite complicated, for not experts, really hard to do. So their automation helps you a lot.
Yeah, I've talked to many prospective clients about ASC 606, especially IFRS 15 over in Europe, and the complexity all the way through from the contract creation, all the way through to generating your receivables, through to being able to change your revenue schedules, things that subscription based companies struggle with each and every day. To that point, how does Everest support compliance, auditability, and internal controls, especially in complex environments like SaaS or even global consolidation?
First of all, we have a big fundamental advantage against other systems, which is what we are calling inside only, right? We are never in the whole system, never ever. It's even not possible to throw data away. So
Yeah.
everything is versioned all the time. The system does not allow you to throw anything away. So that's the fundamental of all auditing, right? you always can reproduce things. We are even able to set the system back in time to
Hmm.
a certain time. That's kind of, there you have out of the box everything you need for compliance and auditability. Of course, then we have all the tooling on top of that, that we also write special audit logs in the platform and so on. But everything is based on, if you never lose data, if you never throw data away, if you never overwrite data, nothing can happen.
Then if you have that versioning control and you don't have the ability to throw data away, what does built for scale actually mean in Everest architecture and business model? And how does that benefit growing companies?
Build for scale means for us, right, that you can write any kind of data, any amount of data in any kind of transaction completely with any limitation of scale, right? Of course, cloud helps you a lot. The cloud infrastructure helps you a lot. Our architecture, how we do that we split it into processes, have all the stuff inside only helps a lot because we
Hmm.
never overwrite the data. Sandboxing helps a lot because you can prepare all the stuff in
Yeah.
sandboxes, and just the data which are already clean and ready are going into the real system. Also, when you import data, huge amount of data, you put it into a sandbox and put it from there, gives you a lot of possibilities to scale much better because you're not immediately at the productive data. There are many pieces. It's not just one thing. Many pieces make it so scalable.
And I want to add, Everest is the only application out there that's an ERP that provides a sandbox environment for organizations to do this.
Absolutely.
Tough question. If you had to summarize why Everest is the future of ERP in one sentence, what would that be?
When you look at the future, you have to look at how business systems in future would look like, and that's by sure very deeply coupled with AI and AI generation. And Everest is deeply prepared for exactly that.
Very well done. Very well done.
Thank you.
Last, last question. Since we last spoke 3 months ago, what have you learned about the industry?
The industry is moving so much faster than we all have thought about it. Look at SaaS companies, pure SaaS companies. Look at the share price of what's happening with SaaS companies. Look at the change of how companies are really changing into AI, and it's not nice to have and whatever. The fundamental business processes are so much changing into that, and we see that is getting even faster important and faster changing the world than we all have thought. And it's not any kind of it's nice to have. It is so critical to be to be there on the front running. And that's what we're learning every day. This is changing the world for us.
Well, as an expert in the industry, we have a fast changing world. Franz, it's really appreciate that you're at the head of the helm, driving new technology for Everest System. And I want to say thank you so much for your time today and helping our viewers understand that Everest is a true ERP system.
Thank you, Cameron. It was fun. Thank
Thank
you.
you.